So my next step is going to be finessing the white balance or the color temperature of this image. And there are a couple of different ways you can do it. If it's just a little off, a lot of times I will simply use the temperature slider. And most often I warm things up because I usually shoot landscape or wildlife photos, and I like to have that little warm glow. And so I typically will hit the temperature slider and warm it up some. But this one is already pretty warm. This image has a lot of areas that are gray. And if you know your photography information, you know that the cameras are striving to make everything gray. And so I'm going to use this eyedropper tool, and I'm going to let Adobe Photoshop Lightroom Classic determine the white balance. As I said, I usually just leave my camera in RAW because I want to come back in here later. Another way to change your white balance is in this area, and you can choose your white balance. These are similar to the settings that are available in your camera. As you can probably tell, this photo was taken when the sun was pretty high in the sky. So I could choose daylight, and that will try to compensate for the amount of sun, but it's way too green for me. It's just not right. The blues look pretty, but I don't like the rest of it. So if I wanted to let it do auto, I don't like the yellows or browns in auto either. So I am going to work on setting my own white balance. I'm going to put it back to as shot because I think that will work better for me. If you've ever noticed when you move your mouse pointer over a part of the image and you have your histogram displayed, you'll see that it has 3 numbers. It has the RGB numbers of the area that you're pointing to. Something that is perfectly gray, all 3 of the numbers are going to be exactly the same. So I'm going to use the eyedropper tool, and I am going to point to or mouse over some of the areas that I remember as being gray. And I'm going to watch this little color chip palette that is attached to my eyedropper. And when I see 3 numbers that are identical or as close to identical or equal that I can find, I'm going to use that as the area. And it may take me a couple of tries. This looks like a fairly big patch of gray. So I've got 28.2, 28.2, and 26.1. Not close enough for what I want. 23.8, 23.4, 21. That's closer, I think. 20, 19.9, and 19.6. So let me click there. And you may not have seen what was done, so let me undo that. That is just a very, very slight change. Well, let me go one more time, and let me come down here. Now that you can see was a drastic change. And to my eye, this is more like it looked when I was there. Dark patches of a cooler brown area as opposed to the warmer yellows and browns. And I like that as my white balance. So that's how you set a custom white balance on a photo in Lightroom.